Hello everybody and welcome to the table. So today we have a brand new knife, and this one is actually from Kizer Knives. And so Kizer really went all out this year when it comes to Halloween themed knives. And Halloween's got to be one of my favorite knife themes that's out there at this point, because every year we get more and more of these really cool Halloween styled knives with jack-o'-lanterns, bats, pumpkins, witches, things like that. And so Kizer went all out. There were a lot of models they offered this year that have the Halloween theming on them, and I appreciate that. So they took their very popular drop bear knife and they Halloweened it out. And this is only one of the variants. They actually had another one as well in different coloration. But what do we have here? So this is, of course, the Kizer drop bear. And our handles here are that PEI or Ultem scale. So it's that yellow plastic. And we can see, of course, it's a see-through plastic, so the liners underneath it have this jack-o'-lantern face, which is pretty cool. On this side where the clip is, you can see the bats there as well. So it definitely gives us that Halloween theming to it, which is very nice. But I just kind of wanted to see how they did their Ultem on this knife. And I'm actually glad I bought it because I'll point some things out to you that may make a difference in your purchasing decisions in the future. But the drop bear itself, classic design. It's been again well received by the community because it's just solid. It has this clutch lock, axis lock design, very easy to actuate because it runs on bearings. The blade is very nicely done, so action is excellent. And so the blade itself, if you take a look at it, we have the purple thumb studs, which again goes with that Halloween theming. It's a black wash blade, so black coated with the stone wash finish. And we have the trick or treat lettering on there, which is kind of cool. I don't know why there's a question mark, but trick or treat, Halloween themed. And we can see the bat on this side as well. And I don't know if you can see the number, but this was a limited run. So this one looks like it's number 14 out of 350 that were made. And so Kizer offered these direct from their website, and some dealers got them as well. So that's where I picked up this one right here. And what was included, now I love these new boxes from Kizer. I don't know if all their models are going to go to something similar to this, but obviously this one is Halloween themed. So we can see the markings for the model right there. And again, yeah, this one's actually a Nitro V blade, which is kind of cool. So we see some interesting steels. But box, trick or treat, again, themed box right there, which is really nicely done. And this one does not come with a pouch. A lot of Kizers come with the pouch. This one has a little baggie, so a Benchmade style baggie there. We got some stickers, and most importantly, and I'm glad I mentioned this, we have some extra hardware. So we have extra Omega springs for that clutch lock, as well as some screws that were included also. So that's kind of a big deal, and I'm going to mention why in a few minutes. But either way, a lot of goodies always included with Kizer knives. And again, I appreciate this new box style. I think it's really cool to look at. And again, a lot of you may just throw the box out, but it's a big, difference in comparison to the older Kizer style boxes like this one right here, where looking at this, it's just very plain Jane. It's, still has the information, but it's just, a black box with the Kizer logo. This sitting on a store shelf is going to look a lot more appealing. Especially if you're giving it as a gift, for instance, that's one of the things I always think about. One of the best things about owning knives and liking knives is giving them away as gifts, and giving this, generates a lot more of that, whoa, what is this type of a question? So that's cool. So nice glossy box right there that it came with and all the goodies inside. So my thing here is this is the PEI polyethylamide or whatever the word is, but that the P plastic scale handles. And there's actually an issue with this particular one that I noticed, and I have not seen this on other Ultem knives that I own, so I'm kind of curious if I'm the only one having this issue. But when you hold this knife in hand, you can actually feel this top scale right here kind of shifts. It's not securely set on the handle. And I don't know if the camera will pick this up or not, but if you look at this back screw right here, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of back and forth between the liners and the scale. Like it does shift back and forth, and when you're holding it, you can feel the liner moving back and forth. And so that's kind of an interesting thing, because I haven't noticed this, because of course I do have another drop bear. So same knife model. This is the titanium scales with the LC200N blade. But again, it's the same knife model, and I do the same thing on this one, and there's no movement at all. It's just really snug down tight. And so you might say just tighten the screw, but this screw here is already tightened as deep as it can possibly go. So that's not the issue. So I'm thinking when they drilled out these holes for on the scales, it might be just slightly oversized. So it's not like the scale is going to fall off. But when it's in hand, you just feel that looseness as you grip it. It's not really a good feeling in hand, like, because it's very noticeable, even though it's only that very minute amount of up and down play, which again, you probably can't even detect it on camera unless you're really looking at that screw and you see it go up and down. But that little minute amount of play, like your hand feels it as you grip the knife because it shifts up and down, back and forth. And so luckily, Kizer does come in clutch here, because they did kind of provide the remedy there in the box, because of course with all of those extra screws, they actually included extra pocket clip screws. So what I did to kind of remedy this is I basically used the extra pocket clip screws here on this side right here where there is no pocket clip. So I'm really glad they decided to do this. Kind of helps us out. So putting these extra clip screws down and just kind of snugging them in like that. And then the movement is now gone. So those two extra screws, tighten the scale down enough where the movement's not an issue anymore. But it might be some, slight difference in tolerances. And sometimes with these plastic materials, sometimes that's something that can happen, I suppose, whereas with a metal like titanium or aluminum, you tend to not see that happen as much. It's much more precision done. And so the tolerances with working with plastic might just be slightly less in that regard. But either way, I did not notice this with another Kizer produced knife. So this one right here is the O knife. This is the Rubato 4, also produced by Kizer, but marketed under the O knife branding. So we can see the O knife logo right there. And so again, this is also the Ultem scales. And this one has 2 screws at the bottom, so there's no shifting or movement. And this one is pretty well done, but I just wanted to mention that there was no issues with this one. And of course, our other, our drop bear analog right here, this is the O knife Rubato 2. And this, again, very similar to the drop bear in size, shape, and manufacturer. And yeah, even though, again, similar design, there's no shifting of the scale on this model. So either there's just an error on my knife, or maybe just the Ultem material has a little bit more play and tolerances as they're building these things out. So interesting thing I noticed, and I think it was worth mentioning for sure. But either way, the knife being a drop bear, we know it's a classic design. It's going to serve you very well, so there should be no long-term effects of that. And honestly, putting the screws in on this side, there's really no downside because those screws are nice and flush with the handle, because they're designed to go with that deep carry pocket clip. So really no downside to that, and it lets you keep them on hand. So there is a nice fix included in the box. So good on Kizer for doing that. Wasn't intended though. But of course, we know all about this design. And what I really do appreciate about these particular Ultem scales, compare them. We have the textured Ultem versus the smooth Ultem, and the texture feels a lot nicer in hand. It gives you a little bit more grip. And that, of course, matters quite a bit, especially during summer. If your hands get sweaty, I think that makes a big difference in how these knives feel as you're using them. But other than that, again, I love my Halloween knives. Halloween, one of the best holidays, of course. And every year we're seeing more manufacturers jump on board this train. And Kizer went all out this year. So I picked up this knife from Blade Runner Outpost. So this is their logo right here. Not a sponsored video at all. I paid for it with my own money. So if you don't see these knives available on the Kizer website anymore, you might want to check out dealers and see who was sent a shipment of these particular run. But hopefully you enjoyed watching this, and have a nice day, everyone. Happy Halloween. See you later.